And it goes a little something like.
Good day everyone, I'm Kevin Clark B. Sanchez from Tupac Strat and I'm going to be discuss the history of Mexico. Mexico's external security environment is peaceful. Mexico has no foreign adversaries and little ambition to impose itself upon other nations. It repudiates the use of force to settle dispute and rejects interference by one nation in the affairs of another. It sees no regional security problems justifying military alliances. The traditional Mexican definition of national security has constrained the role played by the armed forces. The military is essentially passive in matters of external defense. It has been relegated to internal mission of guaranteeing domestic political stability, contributing to the anti-narcotics campaign and carrying a development-oriented civic action program in fulfillment of its duties as the servant of the people. Since the end of the World War II, a succession of civilian presidents has divested the military establishment of political power and the ruling civilian elite that guides the national security policy focuses on the maintaining social order and overcoming uprising. Because of this, because of this limited national security goal, Mexico long maintained a military establishment that was relatively small for a regional power. The picture began to change in the late 1970s. In 1970s, the discovery of explosion of the new petroleum petroleum reserves gave the Mexico added stature a world energy supplier. Violence in Central America brought tens of thousands of refugees, mainly Guatemalans, to Mexico. The influx of refugees was part of regional upheaval that Mexico feared might spread northward to Mexican soil. Given the situation, the nation's armed forces, which until the 1970s were one of the most poorly paid and ill-equipped in the Western Hemisphere, took on a new significance. As a result, Mexico launched an ambitious military modernization program with the goals of increasing the size of armed forces, improving education and training, and upgrading military equipment. The plan had to be scaled back because of a serious international financial crisis and domestic economic distress in the 1980s. But important changes were realized. The number of armed services personnel doubled in less than 2 decades, reached 175,000 in 1996. In 1996, in addition to keeping independent regiments and battalions in garrison throughout the country, the Armed formed an armored brigade, bringing its combat forces to 6 brigades. There was also an elite Presidential Guard brigade. The army also enlarged its inventory of armed forces vehicles. Although it still had no tanks, the Air Force expanded by adding a jet fighter squadron in addition to less sophisticated planes and armed helicopters that have been used in counterinsurgency operation. The Navy acquired model patrol vessels to provide increased protection of shore, oil installation, and the country fisheries resources. Violence nearby in Central American countries is slackened in the early 1990s. A 1994 Pleasant Rebellion in the southernmost state of Chiapas, however, demonstrated the potential of revolutionary by people not sharing in the country's economic and social progress. Although the lighter insurgents and relatively few casualties. Troops until were heavily developed in the area. The possibility localized uprising could become more widespread underscores the need of modern, well-trained armed forces to ensure the country's stability. Mexico military claimed a rich heritage dating back to the pre-Columbian era. As early as the beginning, the 15th century, the Aztec army achieved a high degree of military organization that included formal education and training, weapon production, war, war planning, and execution of coordinated operation. The importance of military service was impressed upon each young male in the ritual of declaring to him, shortly after birth, that his destiny was to be a warrior and to die in combat, the most honorable death in Aztec culture. The power of the triple alliances formed by the urban centers of Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, and Tlayacopan, now known as Tacuba, all three of which in the area of present-day Mexico City, reportedly could assemble a forces between 16,000 and 18,000 combatants. Roughly 10% of the male population on an hour's notice. Evidence of this indigenous influence on the modern military is found in the profile of an eagle warrior. At the beginning of the 16th century, the forces of triple alliances at the peak of military development. Nevertheless, when the Spanish conquistador under Hernan Cortes arrived in 1519, the native warriors put up the little resistance in the two decisive factors in the Spanish victories. In 1998 and 1999, the Federal Preventive Police was created by the merger of the four other federal organizations in 1998 and 1999 in order to better coordinate the fight against the growing threat of drug cartels. The agency merged the Federal Highway Police, the Fiscal Police, and Interior Ministry Intelligence and the unit called the Investigation and National Security Center. And military personnel transferred from the Mexican Army's 3rd Military Police Brigade. In Calderon administration in 2006, when Felipe Calderon took office as president in 2006, there were roughly half a dozen drug cartels in Mexico. Each of our organizations were large and dominated huge parts of Mexico territorial landscape and operated internationally and overseas as well. When Calderon assumed the presidency, he realized that he could not rely on the federal police. The police was created by the merger of the four other federal organizations in 1998 and 1999 in order to better coordinate the fight against the growing threat of drug cartels. The agency merged the Federal Highway Police, the Fiscal Police, and Interior Ministry Intelligence and the unit called the Investigation and National Security Center. And military personnel transferred from the Mexican Army's 3rd Military Police Brigade. In Calderon administration in 2006, when Felipe Calderon took office as president in 2006, there were roughly half a dozen drug cartels in Mexico. Each of our organizations were large and dominated huge parts of Mexico territorial landscape and operated internationally and overseas as well. When Calderon assumed the presidency, he realized that he could not rely on the federal police nor the intelligence agency to restore order and crack down logistics of the mafias. Over several decides, the cartel have bribed police commanders and the politician and often riddled with corruption. State authorities would not only fail to cooperate with the other authorities in distinct federal levels, but would actively protect the cartels and their leaders. In 2008, on October 21, 2008, President Felipe Calderon proposed to break the former President Preventive Police to replace it with a different organization. Because the PFP has not yielded the expected result and thus not been a strong institution capable of serving a model for all police service in the country. The new corporation became the Federal Police and it provides support to the police as to the federal district, states, and municipalities. This decision was said to be not entirely unexpected given the insufficient number of convictions, the alarming increase of violence, abduction, and cases of corruption, complicity with organized crime elements. In 2009, the Federal Preventive Police name was changed to Federal Police and some duties were added to it. The Federal Police was created as the main Federal Preventive Police in 1999 by initiative of President Ernesto Zedillo 1994 to 2000 to prevent and combat and to enforce the law of drugs with not around on Mexico streets. The PF has been assuming its authority stages over time as its budget has grown and this combined a reorganized police departments from major agencies such as those for immigration, treasure, and highway. Many large stations and airports in Mexico are assigned a detachment. With the argument that has stirred of corruption, Calderon abolished the AFI agencies created in May 2009 and created an entirely new police forces. The new force has formed part of Mexico's first national crime information system, which stores the fingerprint of everyone arrested in the country. They also have assumed the role of the army in several parts of the country. In Peña Nieto administration in 2012, it was reported that President Enrique Peña Nieto's government had proposed the creation of new unit to place all federal police duties. Federal police would not be disbanded but would be assigned to special tasks and vision. Additional information on Mexico's planned gendarmerie. The National Gendarmerie and Mexico's crime fighting plans, December 24, 2012. 2014. The final product is the 2014 creation of the Federal Police and Gendarmerie Division with 5,000 police agents. It focused on providing ongoing public security in the areas with the heavy criminal activities and providing border activities. It is also expected to reinforce states, city and municipal police forces when the need arises. It is one of the 7 constituent divisions of the Federal Police, reporting directly to the Commissioner, and the newest to be raised. The National Gendarmerie is defined as military grade forces within the Federal Police. The Lopez Obrador administration. Before becoming President of Mexico, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador campaigned on a promise to take the military of the Strait of Mexico. Shortly after getting into office, Obrador released a plan to create the National Guard under control of the Mexican armed forces, which would be in charge of preventing and combating crime. Obrador stated the new National Guard would be critical to solving Mexico. On February 28, the Mexico's General Congress voted to approve a 60,000-member National Guard. On June 30, 2019, the National Guard was officially established in the Constitution of Mexico. The new National Guard, de facto successor to a similar formation, fixed in 1821 and abolished in 1935, is composed today of personnel from parts of both the National Gendarmerie and Federal Forces Division of Federal Police. That's all my report of History of Mexico, and that's all. Thank you.
So, good day to everyone. I am Niljan Guico and I will discuss about the relevant laws. General structure of the Mexican legal system. Mexico is a federal republic consisting of a federal government, 31 individual state governments, and a federal district. The federal government is divided into executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Each branch is covered and in more detail is below. The hierarchy of sources of law are constitution, legislation, regulation, and custom. Federal legislation is codified in five major codes. The five code is the Civil Code, the Commercial Code, the Criminal Code, the Civil Procedures Code, and the last is the Criminal Procedures Code. A civil law legal system is statutorily based, which means cases are decided individually by looking at the law. Unlike the United States, Mexican case law does not have precedential value. Instead, there is jurisprudencia, which is only established when the Supreme Court and the Federal Collegiate Courts issue five consecutive and consistent decisions on a point of law. When the law is unclear, judges look to legal treatises called doctrina written by legal scholars. Executive branch. The executive branch carries the most political power, while the Mexican Constitution empowers both the executive and the legislative branches to initiate legislation. In practice, the executive branch initiates almost all legislation and certainly legislation of any consequences. The president is elected to a 6-year term with no re-election. The president has the power of the veto, which the legislative branch can override by a two-thirds vote in each chamber. The second is legislative branch. Legislative branch of the federal government is comprised of the Senate and the Chamber of the Deputies. There are two senators per state and one deputy for every 250,000 people in a state. Senators serve a 6-year term and the deputies are elected for a 3-year term. Neither senators nor deputies cannot be re-elected for an immediately succeeding term. Each new bill must pass both chambers by a majority vote. The legislative branch can override by a two-thirds vote in each chamber. And next is the judicial branch. The Mexican federal judiciary is based on three-tier system similar to the US federal judiciary. One is the Supreme Court, next is the circuit courts, and lastly is the federal courts. There are several bodies in Mexico that are not part of the regular federal court structure, including the tax court, labor courts, and the military courts. The Supreme Courts in the Mexico composed of 11 justices, one Chief Justice. The Supreme Court also divides and meets in panel. The criminal panel, civil panel, administrative panel, and labor panel. Federal courts have jurisdiction over the controversies that arise out of laws or act of state or federal authorities that violate individual guarantees. Controversies between state or a state and federal authorities. All matters involving federal laws and treaties, all in which the federal government is a party. All matters involving maritime law, and all cases that involve members of the diplomatic and the consular corps. However, one of the most important type of cases in the federal courts here in Mexico are the amparo, means juicio de amparo, which have no exact equivalent of the common law tradition. Legally, the word encompasses element of several legal actions of the common law tradition, specifically writ of habeas corpus, injunction, error, mandamus, and certiorari. So that's all for Relevant Laws. Thank you.
Good day everyone. Today I discuss about the system of policy, mission, vision, and function of Mexico. So in the system of policy of Mexico, policing responsibilities are divided between federal, state, and municipal government. It, the forces are organized by both by jurisdiction and by functions. Federal, state, and municipal police are principally responsible for crime prevention and response, such as patrolling in the streets, responding to citizens' calls and crimes, and maintaining public order. In addition, federal and state investigative police force serve under the corresponding Attorney General's offices. These police are the principal agent responsible for investigating crimes and for carrying out judicial warrants. The federal police, formerly known as the Policía Federal Preventiva, was the Mexican National Police Force. Among the three policing responsibilities, the federal police was selected as the National Police Force of Mexican because it was the prominent police force with significant powers of investigation to prevent crimes. It does with fighting corruption and organized crime. The authority of the Department of Security and Civil Protection. It is the Secretariat of Security and Civilian Protection is a cabinet-level agency of the government of Mexico responsible for supervising public safety and security. The federal police are heavily armed and wear dark blue, black, or gray combat fatigues. It shows that here. Soldiers are trained to use the maximum force of necessary to combat enemies, not to deter or investigate crimes and interact with the population. When military training is applied in public security activities, abuses are likely to occur. Moreover, the use of military is to perform. Said that the Mexico building police forces that fight crime with the trust and cooperation of ordinary Mexicans military. Training and tactics are often at odds with what is needed for effective policing. Soldiers are trained to use the maximum force necessary to combat enemies, not to deter or investigate crimes and interact with the population. So the second one is the mission and vision of Mexico. So here is the mission of Mexico. Prevent and combat the commission of crimes in accordance with the legal framework with committed and qualified personnel in coordination with the three levels of government that privilege citizen participation to safeguard the integrity and rights of people and institutions. Through programs and actions developed with cutting-edge intelligence and technology schemes that give society confidence and certainty. The second one is the vision. To be an institution committed to society in the prevention of crime and the fight against delinquency, which preserves the integrity and heritage of the people, public peace and order, as well as the rule of the law, whose action is attached to the principles of legality, efficiency, professionalism, and honesty, with full respect for human rights. It said that its objective is to safeguard life, integrity, security, and rights of people, as well as to preserve public freedom, order, and peace. And the last, the functions. Actually, it reformed and strengthening by the Mexico's police forces so that they become honest and effective enough that the government is no longer tempted to use the military for public security function is likely to take several years. It will require both political will and technical capacity. It will also require a multifaceted approach that includes clear guidelines for recruitment, evaluation, management, and training, as well as effective mechanisms to control corruption and abuse. But it is an urgent task. It is clear that without effective civilian forces, Mexico will continue to rely on the same military's public security model that has been unable to effectively address the security crisis in the country and that has resulted in pervasive human rights violations. Yeah. A strong federal police force is needed if the military is to cease its public security function. It was also established as a central element of the strategy against organized crime and criminality in Mexico, not only to prevent crimes and federal jurisdiction at the federal level, but to become an institution of excellence capable of cooperating with local police and prosecutors in investigating crimes of high social impact. The strategic objective are compliance with legal framework to combat organized crime and drugs, the establishment of the national system of public security, the evaluation and adjustment of the strategy for drug control in Mexico. The last one is the strategic objectives function, preventing and combating crime, commission to ensure peace and public order, fight corruption, to purify and dignify the police, strengthen the professionalism of the members of the institution, improve public perception of the institutional activities, promote citizen participation in crime prevention, consolidated as the country's largest institution in the field, strengthening its organizational structure and functional, manage resources efficiently, increase and strengthen the operational deployment at the national level, strengthening intelligence activities, strengthen interagency coordination mechanisms with the three levels of the government, promote the updating of the legal framework, strengthen and upgrade the technological infrastructure.
Good day everyone, I am Janelyn Beakbina and in this video I will discuss the organizational structure, ranks, and insignia in Mexico. So as you can see in the table flashed in your screen, it is the Mexican rank and its equivalent rank in our country. So originally, Mexico adopted its system of officer ranks in the Spanish Army. The approximate equivalent of a general in the United States Army is the highest rank within the Secretariat of the National Defense. Present military officers and former secretaries of the National Defense are the only officers with the rank of general. The insignia consisting of 4 silver stars and a gold eagle worn on their epaulets was known as generals. The equivalent of lieutenant general is the next highest rank and it is available in both Army and Air Force staff. Though there is no distinction for the Spanish name for these ranks, 3 stars and an eagle were separately marked by the officers. In addition to the symbol of their gold eagle epaulets, the rank equivalents of Major General and Brigadier General are marked by 2 silver stars and 1 silver star respectively, while the colonels, is marked with 3 gold stars arranged in a triangle position. Lieutenant colonels equivalents a small few of whom may command a division of cavalry squadron, but most of whom serve as teachers and administrative assistants wear 2 gold stars. Major act as second in command of battalions or squadrons occasionally, but are typically assigned to the management of training of the staff. So in major, the mark that will make them to be recognized is a single gold star. So other ranks commissioned include captain and second captain, all equivalent to the rank of captain in the United States. 3 gold stars on the epaulet are worn by the first captain, while the second captain was wearing 2.5 gold stars. The rank insignia of commissioned naval officers consisted of gold stripes above the cuff of the collar with a braided loop incorporating the uppermost stripe. The rough versions of the ranks of Admiral, Vice Admiral, and Rear Admiral of the United States Navy were insignia consisting of a wild gold stripe plus narrow and loop stripes. Rank names and rank insignias are the same for both Army and Air Force enlisted personnel. Green epaulets with 3 horizontal green bars recognize the highest rank. The next 2 lowest ranks were recognized by 2 horizontal red bars and 1 horizontal green bar. We'll be moving on to the Mexico political hierarchy. So the Mexican political hierarchy works in an enormous framework of a federal democratic republic headed by the president of the country. This hierarchy is divided into 5 categories. So the first one is the executive. In the entire Mexican political structure, the president is the most vital and the most supreme body. The president is often labeled as the 6-year monarchy by the Mexican people. In the federal district and the 31 states of Mexico, the president is chosen by the registered voters. The president officially holds the title of head of government commander in chief or state chief. Minimum age set for a person to appear in a presidential election. The second one is the legislative. 2 houses, the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies, are part of the legislative branch of the Mexican political hierarchy. The Senate consists of approximately 128 members, while the Chamber of Deputies includes 500 members who, according to the terms and guidelines of the constitutions, serve for a duration of 3 years. The third one is the judicial. So in Mexican political hierarchy, the judicial is divided into 2 classes. The first one is the federal system and the other one is the state system. The Supreme Court of Justice has the highest power and it is the authority holder of Court of Mexico and is based in Mexico City and comprises 21 migrates along with 5 auxiliary judges. Both of these are named by the President and confirmed by the Senate afterwards. In order for a person to be justice of the Mexican Supreme Court, you must be a Mexican citizen by birth. So the fourth one is the state government. Mexico has 31 states and federal district that includes Mexican City. Each state has its own constitution with the right to legislate and levy taxes. So like the federal system, state government also comprises the branches of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches with the same responsibilities of the three at the level of the state. The political structure of Mexico is strongly centralized. For state revenue, state governments depend heavily on Mexico City. The last one is the local government. Government of Mexico is the simplest and lowest level of the Mexican political hierarchy. This is referred to as the commune. A number of public services, including water and sewerage, sanitation and repair, street lighting, slaughterhouse supervision, public safety and traffic, and the maintenance of parks, gardens, and cemeteries are the responsibilities of the local government. So for the next part, here is Maria Stephanie Real, and she will discuss to you the qualifications and benefits of the policing system in Mexico.
Good day everyone, I'm Maria Stephanie Emrial. So I will discuss to you the qualification and benefits of policing in Mexico. So qualification of policing in Mexico, you must have educational requirements, legal requirements, mental requirements, and physical requirements. So first, in educational requirements, educational requirements of a police officer aren't that much as mentioned before. Much of time, they simply required a JED. So, in short word, you must have a diploma, you must finish 4 years course, and degree holder and pass the board. So, occasionally, a minimum of 2 years tertiary level course. Completion is mandated. So, this means that a diploma or an associate's degree will do just fine. So, second is the physical requirements. So, physical requirements, youngest age mandated is around 18 to 21 years. But this is decided by which department you sent an application to. So, as being a police officer is a very physical, demanding job. You will need to ensure that you have enough stamina, endurance, and strength. So, to ensure this, the selection process includes the physical ability test or PAT. So, here you are compelled to do a physical test which are the comprising long runs, sprints, of obstacle course, and substantially more, which is the physical exercises. So, in legal requirement, they said that if you have a police record, it is grounds immediate disqualification in your application. So, consequently, unsolid record, it is an unquestionable requirement for applying to entry in a police academy. So, in some unique conditions, the department may choose not to hold your criminal record against you, but only if the offenses you committed were minor in nature. So, furthermore, you should anticipate a detailed and complete investigation into your background. So, they not only check your personal information, but also to your previous and current employers and family members. They will learn if any form of your conduct is unwelcome in the police academy. So, in mental requirements, they said that law enforcement officers need to be able to withstand hardships. They come across a lot of gruesome images every day. So, especially homicide detectives. They need to have enough mental fortitude to stay strong and keep pursuing their career. So, they require the ability to make judgment under the duress, and it is imperative that they not be the right ones. So, every single time they make a choice, it might be a life and death situation for someone. In Mexico, those are many benefits. So, they said that many folk won't fret about to pay that a law enforcement officer mainly because of the incentives that they get. So, one of the biggest benefits in Mexico is the pension. Conventionally, some are obligated to gain no less than 15 years of experience working in the force in advance of getting pension. So, consequently, you can enroll at a young age and after that resign by the age of 40 to gain a pension. So, and work else and some other establishment. So, in other way, they said that if you are resigned in 40 years old, you can get pension. So, additionally, gain respectable healthcare insurance to aid yourself should get incapacitated, or experience the ill effects of some disease, which in the case of law enforcement officer is rather than normal. Another casual benefit is that you can get a great deal of free nourishment and beverages where you are on duty. So, having opportunity to interact with celebrities while protecting them, offering protection for them. So, for example, you care for a celebrity, so you have opportunity to touch them, to see them. So, yun. So, the work of cop is difficult and the salary isn't great. So, but in the event that you have a powerful sentiment of justice and the compulsion to protect individuals, then this occupation might be the right fit for you. So, furthermore, it is a highly reputable profession, one that allows you to have a protected retirement and supplies you with the healthcare incentive. So, those are the things you need to qualify and benefits of the policing in the Mexico. Thank you.
And it goes a little something